These adorable sisters did everything together. If one of them was laughing, the other one was probably laughing harder. They were inseparable. But sometimes, people change, and nobody realizes it until it's too late. Welcome to Tales by Dream Fame. My name is Kayla, the face behind this channel. And if you love emotional stories with meaning, then you're in the right place. This story is about two sisters, two girls who looked identical on the outside, but were about to become completely different on the inside. And I promise you, the twist is going to leave you completely speechless. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and let's go back to how it all started. The Wilson family were getting ready to welcome their twin daughters, and honestly, they couldn't have been more excited. Linda Wilson and Cynthia Wilson were born just minutes apart. Twin sisters, two little girls who came into the world surrounded by love. The only way people could really tell them apart was the tiny birthmark on Cynthia's face. Their parents couldn't stop smiling as they held them for the first time. Our girls are finally here. They are perfect. And honestly, they were perfect. From the very beginning, the girls were inseparable. They played together, ate together, cried together. Even when one got in trouble, the other would somehow end up apologizing too. They weren't just sisters, they were best friends. But even as children, the twins were very different. Linda was naturally calm and focused, the kind of child that somehow enjoyed solving math problems for fun. Teachers loved her because she always had an answer ready before anyone else. Meanwhile, Cynthia saw the world differently. While other kids scribbled stick figures, she could already sketch full portraits with detail far beyond her age. Art was her escape, her peace, her way of expressing things she didn't even know how to explain yet. And the beautiful thing was, neither of them ever felt threatened by the other. Linda admired Cynthia's creativity, and Cynthia admired Linda's intelligence. They were the kind of sisters everyone admired. No matter what happened, they always found their way back to each other. As the years passed, nothing really changed. The girls grew older, but their bond only became stronger. They studied together, did chores together, and somehow, even in the smallest moments, they genuinely enjoyed each other's company. Linda could spend an entire afternoon washing dishes, while Cynthia sat nearby sketching her instead of helping. And somehow, Linda never got angry. That was just their relationship. Easy, comfortable, and safe. In their final year of primary school, the twins prepared for their common entrance, and on the day of the exam, they were happy because this was the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter they thought they would face together no matter what. Some weeks later, their results finally came out. The entire family sat around the dining table. When they opened the results, Linda scored straight A's and Cynthia earned mostly B's and C's. Their parents celebrated both girls proudly because, of course, both daughters mattered equally to them, and for a long time, that was enough. A few months later, the twins got ready for their very first day at Hillside Secondary School. Linda helped Cynthia adjust her uniform while the two girls laughed excitedly in front of the mirror. Inside the car, the whole family sang happily on their way to school. Nobody knew that this school was slowly going to change everything. The first thing that ruined their excitement happened almost immediately. The twins checked the notice board and realized they had been placed in different classes. For the first time in their lives, they wouldn't be together. They stood there quietly for a moment. It felt strange, but eventually they hugged each other tightly. And with that, the sisters walked in opposite directions. In Linda's class, everybody was immediately impressed by how intelligent she was. She answered difficult questions confidently and the teacher praised her. Meanwhile, in Cynthia's class, she instantly made a new friend, Vicky. She was funny, confident, talkative too. The kind of person that would instantly become your friend. And before long, the two girls became best friends. As time went by, everything still seemed perfectly normal. At home, the family ate breakfast together every morning. Their mother packed their lunches. In school, the twins still laughed together during break time. Everything looked fine. But slowly, something started changing. Whenever Cynthia and Linda spent time together with their friends, Vicky would suddenly appear, and every single time, Cynthia would leave with her. At first, Linda didn't think much about it. She was honestly just happy her sister had made a close friend. But then, days turned into weeks, and little by little, Cynthia started spending more time with Vicky. Until one afternoon, everything changed. The two girls sat quietly under a tree after school, talking. Then suddenly, Vicky asked a strange question. Can I ask you something? Don't you ever feel like your parents love Linda more?
What do you mean? My parents love both of us equally. Okay, but what of people in general? Like the way they talk about her, the way they see her. Like they just automatically think she's better than you, and that's not fair. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, if you say so.
Cynthia laughed it off because honestly, that had never been a thought that crossed her mind. Linda was her twin, her best friend, the person who understood her the most. But you see, sometimes one small sentence is enough to plant a dangerous thought inside somebody's mind. And once that thought enters, it becomes difficult to ignore. Another day, Vicky said something strange again. Cynthia, what's wrong? I didn't really do well in the maths test. Oh, but you did better than half of the class. I even heard your sister got the highest score in the whole of JSS too. Yes, she's always been good in maths and I'm proud of her. You're happy? How can you be happy when all they do is praise your sister and not even acknowledge the efforts you put in?
But she deserves it. She did great.
Okay, keep deceiving yourself. And then slowly, Cynthia started noticing things she had never paid attention to before. The way teachers praised Linda, the way students admired her, the way seniors already knew her name in GSS 2 and would even call her to praise her for her intelligence. Things that never used to bother Cynthia before were suddenly becoming impossible to ignore. One afternoon after a presentation in class, their English teacher smiled proudly.
You all did well, and by the way, some of you can ask Linda from the other class questions based on this topic because she had a really nice presentation.
You see what I mean? Your presentation was good too. Cynthia, you try and nobody sees it. See, if you don't start working to become better than her, the attention will just keep going to her head. And then one day she will just start feeling like she's above you. Like she can talk to you anyhow. You think she'll do that? Yes, she can. And if you don't act fast, she'll bring you down. Soon after that, Cynthia started becoming distant. She stopped studying with Linda, stopped eating lunch with her regularly. Sometimes she'd walk into a room, see Linda there, and leave immediately. And Linda noticed. Of course she noticed. But every time she tried asking what was wrong, Cynthia brushed her off. Meanwhile, Vicky kept pulling her deeper, skipping classes, encouraging bad behavior. She even bullied a junior student once, and that was because there was an anger growing inside her that had to go somewhere. And sadly, the person she unconsciously blamed for all of this was Linda. One afternoon, during an award ceremony, Linda won multiple academic prizes. The audience cheered loudly for her. Teachers congratulated her proudly. And from the crowd, Vicky leaned towards Cynthia and whispered, "You are meant to be up there, not her." That sentence stayed in Cynthia's head long after the applause ended. Even at home, things no longer felt the same. Dinner conversations became awkward. Linda kept trying to reconnect. Cynthia kept pulling away, and their parents still had no idea what was happening between their daughters. After their final junior school exams, then came inter-house sports, the event every single student had been waiting for. The moment the principal announced it during assembly, the entire school exploded with excitement. Immediately assembly ended, students rushed to the notice boards to check the houses they had been placed in, and it turned out that Cynthia and Vicky were both placed in green house, while Linda was placed in blue house. Training started almost immediately. Every afternoon, the field was filled with students running, shouting, practicing, and competing. We could see Linda training with the Blue House relay team, and on the other side of the field, Cynthia was training with Green House, while Vicky constantly cheered her on from the sidelines. After one exhausting training session, Cynthia and Vicky sat on the grass. That was awesome. You're getting better. Thanks. Cynthia, you know Linda is also running the final leg for Blue House. This is your chance, girl. Like, actually your chance. To show everyone that you're better than her. Don't waste it. Then, the night before inter-house sports, Cynthia sat quietly, drawing while Linda slept nearby. And for the first time, we finally saw what was inside her mind. She drew herself winning the race, standing above everyone, finally being noticed, finally being seen. But then she flipped to another page and saw an old childhood drawing, a drawing of herself and Linda together as little girls. Happy, smiling, complete. For a moment, Cynthia hesitated. The memories came flooding back. But then, Vicky's words echoed in her head again, over and over and over. So slowly, she tore the drawing straight down the middle, separating herself from her sister. The next morning, the family headed for the inter-house sports together. Linda even gave Cynthia a playful fist bump before leaving the car, but Cynthia responded coldly, and Linda noticed again. The sports field was chaotic in the best way possible. Students screamed, music blasted loudly across the field, different house colors filled every corner. Everybody was excited. Races, march past, tug of war, cheerleaders from different teams. There were so many different sporting activities, students shouting everywhere. And after hours of competition, everything came down to one final race. Blue House versus Green House, because apparently they were tying, and that female relay race was the tiebreaker. Meaning this race decided everything, and on the final leg, it was Linda against Cynthia. The whistle blew, the race began. Students screamed loudly from every direction. Greenhouse took the lead almost immediately, and as each runner passed the baton, the pressure only became more intense. Finally, the baton reached the final runners. Cynthia grabbed hers first. This was her moment, her chance, her opportunity to finally be seen. But the second she tried taking off, her foot twisted, and suddenly she crashed hard onto the track. The crowd gasped loudly. Greenhouse lost momentum instantly, and before anybody could react, Blue House overtook them. Whoa. Okay, I need to pause here for a second because that fall we all just saw, that moment right there, that is where everything changes. Anyways, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the time to do so now because what happens next is going to completely shock you. Let's keep going. The final baton reached Linda, and Linda ran with everything she had straight to the finish line. Blue House had won. Students exploded with excitement. Everybody celebrated wildly. But Linda wasn't celebrating because the moment she crossed the finish line, she turned around immediately and ran back toward her sister, worried, panicked, concerned. Cynthia, are you okay? But the second Linda tried helping her up, Cynthia suddenly snapped. Get your filthy hands off me, Linda. The entire field went silent. Cynthia shoved her hand away angrily, and she walked away, leaving Linda frozen in complete shock. Because at that moment, she realized something terrifying. The sister she once knew was slowly disappearing. Cynthia didn't even look back. She walked away angrily while Vicky quickly rushed after her, and they walked together towards the classrooms. Inside Greenhouse's classroom, the atmosphere was tense. Nobody spoke. Everybody already knew their coach was furious, and honestly, they were terrified of him. He was too strict. Cynthia sat quietly while Vicky tried comforting her. But deep down, Cynthia wasn't even crying because of the race anymore. It was embarrassment, humiliation, failure, and worst of all, losing in front of Linda. Then suddenly, the classroom door burst open. Their coach walked in angrily. The entire class froze immediately. Nobody dared to speak. Nobody even dared to move. The coach looked around furiously before his eyes finally landed on Cynthia. And what he said next changed something inside her forever. How on earth did you miss that, Cynthia? Just look at your sister. Why can't you be useful like her? The moment those words left his mouth, Something inside Cynthia shattered. Her chest tightened instantly. Her ears rang, and suddenly it felt like everybody in the room was staring at her. She stood up abruptly, with tears burning in her eyes, and ran out of the classroom. Vicky immediately followed after her. As she hurried through the hallway looking for Cynthia, she suddenly bumped into Linda. Linda looked panicked. Vicky, please, have you seen my sister? But instead of answering normally, Vicky looked at her coldly. A side of her Linda had never seen before. That one is probably crying somewhere like a baby, and that's all because of you. Everyone loves Linda. If you know what's good for you, stay away from Cynthia. And with that, she walked away, leaving Linda standing there completely confused, because for the first time, she started wondering if maybe something much bigger was happening behind her back. After searching almost everywhere, Linda finally found Cynthia inside an empty sports storage room, curled up on the floor, crying uncontrollably. And immediately, Linda's heart broke, because no matter how badly Cynthia had treated her lately, that was still her sister, her twin, her best friend. Linda rushed toward her instantly and knelt down with her. Cynthia, are you okay? Just breathe, please. But Cynthia stayed quiet, completely quiet, until suddenly she stood up angrily. Tears streamed down her face as years of bottled emotions exploded out all at once.
Just leave me alone, Linda! Why must you always ruin everything? I wish you never existed. I wish we weren't twins. I hate you!
And with that, she ran away, leaving Linda standing there completely shattered. Cynthia had said things she had never expected to hear from her own sister. The car ride home felt painfully quiet. Their parents could immediately sense something was wrong, but neither twin said a word. Not one, and somehow that silence felt louder than any argument. The moment they got home, Cynthia suddenly stopped walking. Then, without even looking at anybody, she spoke. Mom, Dad, I'm staying in the guest room from now on. Their parents looked confused instantly. But before anybody could respond, Cynthia walked away, and Linda simply walked the other direction because she was too emotionally exhausted to stop her. That night, Linda sat alone in their room staring at the empty bed across from her. This wasn't how she imagined the day would end. And for the first time in her life, the room didn't feel comforting anymore. It felt lonely, cold, and wrong. She kept replaying Cynthia's words over and over in her head. I hate you. I wish we were never twins. And no matter how hard she tried to understand, nothing made sense anymore. The holiday before SS1 quickly arrived, but instead of bringing the sisters closer again, things only became worse. They barely spoke, barely looked at each other, and almost every single day, Vicky came over, always sitting beside Cynthia, always whispering into her ears, always feeding the growing bitterness inside her. Meanwhile, Linda never stopped trying. Every day, she knocked gently on the guest room door, trying to talk to her sister, trying to fix things, trying to bring her back, but the door never opened. Even their parents tried intervening. Long conversations, advice, warnings, nothing worked, because by that point, Cynthia had already started changing into somebody they barely recognized. Then one afternoon, everything changed again. Cynthia sat sketching quietly while Vicky scrolled through her phone nearby. After staring at the drawing for a while, Vicky suddenly spoke. Why do you like wasting your time with this drawing nonsense? What do you mean? You know you have to beat your sister in every aspect, and that includes academics. So you have to choose science department and stop wasting your time with this drawing thing. That statement hit Cynthia harder than she expected, because deep down, she knew something Vicky didn't. Art wasn't just a hobby to her. It was the only thing that truly made her happy. But now, that happiness suddenly felt childish, weak, like something she needed to outgrow. Slowly, Cynthia closed her sketchbook, and for the first time in years, she looked ashamed of the thing she loved most. A few days later, She threw away her childhood sketchbook completely. Years of drawings, years of memories, gone. And honestly, that moment hurt Cynthia more than she wanted to admit. Because it didn't just feel like throwing away paper, it felt like throwing away herself. Later that evening, Linda noticed the sketchbook inside the trash bin, and immediately she rushed to pick it up, confused, worried, because she knew how important those drawings were to Cynthia. That night, Linda quietly flipped through the sketchbook alone in her room. Portrait after portrait, sketch after sketch, beautiful, detailed, alive, and suddenly her eyes filled with tears because deep down she realized something terrifying. Cynthia wasn't abandoning art because she stopped loving it. She was abandoning it because she no longer believed it was enough. Months later, the family gathered to fill their SS1 department forms. And then suddenly, Cynthia spoke. Mom, Dad, I'll be choosing the science department. The room went silent instantly. Even their parents looked shocked. But nobody looked more surprised than Linda. Because Linda knew her sister better than anyone. Or at least, she thought she did.
But sis, stay out of my business, Linda.
And even though Linda stayed quiet after that, something inside her already knew the truth. This wasn't what Cynthia wanted at all. On the first day of senior school, their parents dropped them off, and still they said nothing to each other. The twins finally returned to the same classroom again, but somehow they had never felt further apart. Cynthia and Vicky spent most of their time together laughing. Meanwhile, Linda watched from a distance silently, still hoping somehow that one day her sister would come back to her. Then one morning during assembly, the principal announced a prestigious scholarship opportunity, and immediately Linda became interested because the school offering the scholarship was famous for science and technology programs. This wasn't just another competition to her, it was her dream, and from that very moment, Linda started preparing seriously, studying late, researching constantly, pushing herself harder every single day because she wanted that scholarship more than anything. As the term continued, science became harder and harder for Cynthia. And even though she tried hiding it, she was struggling badly because no matter how hard she forced herself to fit into that world, it never truly felt like hers. One afternoon, after a biology test, their teacher handed back the script. And the moment Cynthia saw her score, her stomach dropped. An E. She had never felt like that before, ever. Beside her, Vicky quickly whispered, "Just keep trying." But even that couldn't stop the embarrassment burning inside Cynthia. Meanwhile, across the classroom, Linda noticed everything immediately. And after class, she quietly followed Cynthia outside. Hi sis, I just wanted to let you know that if you have any difficulty with any of our science subjects, I can help you out. And immediately, Cynthia exploded. Linda, stay out of my business. And if you say a word about this grade to mom and dad, you will hate me. And once again, Linda stood there, hurt. The next day during lunch break, Cynthia sat quietly beside Vicky under one of the trees behind the classroom block. Usually, Vicky was the one talking non-stop. But this time, even she noticed something was wrong. Cynthia looked exhausted, like somebody who hadn't slept properly in days. Finally, Cynthia spoke. Vicky, I don't think I want to continue this anymore. What do you mean? This whole science class competition thing with Linda, I really like fine arts. Can you even listen to yourself? After everything we've been doing, after how far you've come, you want to give up and go draw pictures.
It's not just drawing.
Do you know what people will say? That Linda finally broke you. That you couldn't handle it, so you ran away. Is that what you want? Listen, you are so close, Cynthia. People are already starting to notice you more. Don't throw that away now. Not when you're this close to finally showing everyone who you really are. That conversation hit Cynthia deep because it really seemed like there was no hope to going back to what she loves. Then later that night, when everybody was asleep and the house was quiet, Cynthia was awake, surrounded by textbooks. Biology, chemistry, physics. She was forcing herself to read, forcing herself to love subjects that she never had interest for. Her eyes were tired, her head hurt, but she kept reading anyway. Because now, this wasn't even about science anymore. It was about proving something, proving she could finally be seen. And over time, her grades slowly started improving, not because she enjoyed it, but because she pushed herself harder and harder every day. During another test review, the biology teacher stopped at Cynthia's desk and smiled. Then she looked down at her paper and saw a B+. Vicky immediately said excitedly, "Cynthia, wow, you're getting better. I'm so happy for you, girl." And Cynthia smiled, but it wasn't a genuine one. Because even after everything, something still felt empty. Meanwhile, Linda was doing the exact opposite. Unlike Cynthia, Linda genuinely loved science, and the scholarship announcement had completely changed her mindset. So while everybody else rested after school, Linda studied. While others slept, Linda revised. Not because she was better than anybody else, but because she really wanted this. Meanwhile, one afternoon after classes, Cynthia went to the library to study one of her science subjects. At least, that was the plan. She was searching through the shelves for a particular textbook, until suddenly, one book caught her attention: Advanced Fine Art. And the moment she opened it, she smiled. The paintings, the sketches, the history behind each piece. For the first time in months, Cynthia smiled genuinely. She looked around carefully to make sure nobody was watching her. Then quietly, she pushed her science textbook aside and she spent the next hour reading the art book instead. That became her secret routine after that. At home, she secretly watched art documentaries. She researched universities with strong art programs. She read about famous African artists, and every single time she did, she felt alive again, like she was reconnecting with the version of herself she abandoned. Then one day, something happened that made Linda uncomfortable. She saw Vicky spreading rumors about another girl in school, mocking her, laughing about her behind her back. And Linda just stood there shocked because for the first time, she saw a side of Vicky she didn't like at all, a really ugly side. So later that day, Linda decided to approach Cynthia to just tell her about it. "Sis, I know you don't want to hear anything from me, but you really need to be careful around Vicky." "And why is that?" "Because she's just not a good person. The things she does to people are..." "Linda, just stop. Why can't you just let me be?" And then Cynthia walked away again, leaving Linda standing there, confused and heartbroken. Maybe she was really losing her sister forever. One afternoon, Cynthia and Linda had to go home by themselves because earlier that morning, their parents had told them they would be getting home late from work, so the twins would have to go home by themselves after school. As they walked through the busy road, the silence between them was loud, too loud. Linda kept stealing glances at her sister, hoping, praying that maybe today would finally be the day they talked again. And then she snapped. "Can you just talk to me?" Linda suddenly shouted. "I don't understand what's happening anymore. Why do you keep shutting me out? What did I even do?" Cynthia looked at her coldly. "Linda, leave me alone. Why do you keep trying to fix things? It's never going to work. Because I'm tired of all this. How did we go from best friends to enemies? It makes no sense." For a second, Cynthia's expression softened. Like deep down, a part of her missed her sister too. But then, Vicky's words echoed in her mind again. All the comparisons, all the jealousy, all the anger she had buried for months. Her face hardened immediately.
"I don't even know why I'm having this conversation with you. Please leave my way."
And that moment she turned, that was when everything changed. The road was busy, cars speeding past, people shouting from different corners of the market. But Cynthia didn't care. She just wanted to get away from Linda. On that same road, a car was coming. The driver wasn't even paying attention. One hand on the steering wheel, the other holding his phone. He was distracted and he was speeding. Linda noticed it immediately. Her eyes widened. "Cynthia, wait!" But Cynthia turned around angrily in the middle of the road. "Leave me alone, Linda." And then... A loud crash echoed across the street. Everything froze. The phone slipped from the driver's hand and he zoomed off, leaving them there at the scenery. People started screaming. And Linda's entire world stopped. Cynthia! She ran into the road immediately. Her knees hit the ground hard as she grabbed her sister's hand. Cynthia laid there unconscious. Blood stained the side of her uniform, and Linda completely broke down. Linda held Cynthia's hand tightly with tears pouring down her face, terrified that this might be the last time she ever sees her alive. And that was only the beginning of the real nightmare. What just happened? Now I know we all did not expect that, and I know a lot of things are running through your minds. What happens to Cynthia? Does she survive? What does Linda do? And also, why exactly is Vicky pushing Cynthia so much? I'm kind of suspecting her. Are you? Anyways, the answers to all that are going to be in part 2. And honestly, it gets interesting. So please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it when we drop part 2. Thank you so much for waiting, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!